the Boeing 747, the largest airplane Boeing ever built, the Queen of the Skies. On that fateful day on February 9th, 1969, she rolled out of the factory in Everett, Washington, the largest building in the world.
And they start the takeoff roll.
Many were skeptical the plane would even fly, but the critics were proven wrong. After spending every dollar the company had on this program, she had to fly, and more importantly, had to sell. She later proved to do both, not only flying, but also selling, and in spectacular fashion. She took her inaugural flight on January 22nd, 1970, with Pan American World Airways from New York to London. Enjoy these scenes of the Boeing 747 from the good old days of flying. This footage, by the way, is from the Boeing archives on their website. I love this footage of the many different airlines that have flown the 747 over the decades, and it's gone through many evolutions. From the 100 series to the 200, to the 300, to the very successful 400 series, and even weird ones like the SR built specifically for the Japanese. The 747 was also the world's first wide-body jet, introducing a middle aisle, a first for the 1970s, even though that's common today. 747 also has those iconic stairs up to the upper deck. Dozens and dozens of airlines have flown through the skies with the 747s, and this footage really shows all the different operators. British Airways, who recently retired their 747s. It's TWA, one of my favorite operators. Qantas, who also recently retired their 747s. At one point, Qantas flew a fleet of only 747s between the 1970s and 1980s. There's Air India, another historic operator that used the 747's massive capacity for domestic flights and international services, similar to the Japanese. This, by the way, is Kai Tak Airport in Hong Kong, a really interesting and dangerous airport which is now closed and abandoned. And this was the last flight Pan Am ever flew, shown here. And another Qantas 747. 747 has flown with dozens of airlines, millions of by total miles flown. The 747 has flown to the moon and back 74,000 times, thousands of people, and is perhaps one of the most recognizable historic aircraft ever built. But pretty soon, the very last ever 747 to be built taxied out from the Everett factory with the special Joe Sutter commemorative livery and headed for its new home in Cincinnati. On her flight heading out to Cincinnati, she drew a crown in the sky to commemorate the 747 as the Queen of the Skies. But pretty soon, the final 747 began her approach into the Cincinnati Northern Kentucky International Airport. Isn't that just the most fun airport name to say ever? I wasn't lucky enough to be in Cincinnati for this final 747, but about Cincinnati, we'll get to that in a little bit. Pretty soon, November 863 Golf Tango, the 1,574th 747 ever built, a 747-8 freighter, landed in Cincinnati, its new home, marking an end to 52 years of production. I've been to Cincinnati before, but I was not there for this flight, as I mentioned. I was lucky enough to visit in spring of 2021 and do some plane spotting at this amazing airport. Here comes an American Eagle CRJ-900 from Charlotte Douglas International Airport to Cincinnati. Oh yeah! I love this. It's what I call a view. 767s, A300s, and over there is a Polar Air Cargo 747-8 freighter. Pretty cool. He's touching down from Anchorage. But this was the highlight for me, seeing a Polar Air Cargo 747-400 freighter touching down from Anchorage. This was exciting knowing I stood right there in Cincinnati, right where the final one was visible from. And I also have a long history of geeking out about the 747. These pictures really show the scale of how huge the 747 is. I really enjoyed getting up close to the 747s on my recent trip to Arizona. Luckily, the 747s do have replacements in both the Boeing 787 and new 777X families. These are both superb aircraft types, but the 747 will surely be missed by aviation enthusiasts, pilots, and mechanics around the world. Also, spoiler alert, keep an eye out for a future trip report upstairs on a 747-8. But that's all for this special video. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, wishing all the 747s blue skies and tailwinds.